Welcome y'all to Robin on the Farm. Today I'm going to share with you a really simple homemade bread recipe. This is my Farmhouse white bread, my favorite recipe, but today I'm going to show you how to make it in a Pullman pan. If you're not familiar with Pullman pans, they are tall, straight-sided loaf pans with lids. And they're designed to make a square loaf of bread, which is really fun and different. I've made homemade bread for so many years that I haven't had bread shaped like this in a long time. It's nice and square, it's nice for sandwiches, it fits in your toaster really well, and it's just kind of fun and different, I think. Now, this is a USA pan, such high quality. I love my USA pans now. Y'all know that I love my cast iron loaf pans. I love them, I am going to love them forever, but y'all have been recommending these USA pans to me. And recently, when I was at the thrift store, I found this really nice muffin pan, and it's a USA pan. And it's so heavy and such high quality. It's non-stick, but it's also non-toxic. This pan made me think, okay, it's time to order a couple USA loaf pans. So I have been making bread in this thing and several other USA pans, and I really like them. So I'm gonna start sharing some recipes with those. So let's just get to the recipe. This is a really fun, easy bread to make. One more thing about this pan. This is a 13-inch by 4-inch by 4-inch pan, and this pan is for recipes that call for 5 to 6 cups of flour, like our recipe does today. There's also smaller Pullman pans that are 9-inch by 4-inch by 4-inch, and those are for recipes that call for 3 to 4 cups of flour. But this recipe is a bigger one, so we're gonna use the bigger pan. To get started on this Farmhouse white bread, I'm gonna use 2 cups of lukewarm water. You want this to be about 100 to 110 degrees. That is the perfect temperature to activate your yeast, but not kill it. So just pour that right on into your mixing bowl. I am using my KitchenAid mixer. You can use any stand mixer. You can make this by hand. If you have a large capacity bread machine, you can use the dough cycle too. But 2 cups lukewarm water right into your bowl. And next we want some butter. I'm using a 1/4 cup of melted butter. This is a really awesome Lodge cast iron melting pot. I love to melt my butter on the stovetop. So I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup of melted butter. You can also use a 1/4 cup of oil if you want. A lot of times I'll use olive oil or any kind of light tasting oil, but either one will work just fine. And our next ingredient is sugar. I'm gonna use 3/4 cup of sugar. Just gonna put it right on into this bowl. And next we want yeast. This is my Red Star Active Dry Yeast. You can also use instant yeast, rapid rise, whatever you want. But I buy my yeast in these big 2-pound packages. I store them in the freezer and they last for years and years that way. So this is what it looks brand new. It's all sealed and nice. It's a lot of yeast in there. It'll last you forever, but it's definitely more economical to buy it this way than from the grocery store in those little packets or in those little jars that you see. This is way cheaper. So for this recipe, I am gonna use 1.5 tablespoons of this active dry yeast. Like I said, I store it in the freezer. I get it out right before I use it and I put it right back in the freezer. You don't have to let it come to room temperature, nothing like that. It's just really simple to use. So 1.5 tablespoons of this yeast. And next we want some flour. Now for this recipe, you can use all-purpose flour or you can use bread flour. This is my bread flour. I buy my flour in big 25-pound bags, and then I store it in these 5-gallon buckets. I put these gamma lids on top. It's a great way to do it. It's definitely more economical to buy your flours in bulk if you're gonna be baking a lot. So this is my bread flour. Bread flour has a higher protein content than all-purpose flour, so it'll give you a little bit better rise, a different kind of chew. So I really like bread flour best, but you can definitely use all-purpose flour too. If you only have all-purpose flour and you happen to have some vital wheat gluten, you can add about 2 tablespoons of vital wheat gluten to your all-purpose flour, and it'll help it act more like bread flour. You'll get a little bit better rise and structure out of your bread that way. You can even add it to your bread flour if you want to, but it's really not that necessary. So for me, I'm not gonna add any vital wheat gluten, but you can if you want to. So I'm starting with 5.5 cups of flour. I might add a little bit more after I get my mixer going. I don't want to add too much at the start, but I'll show you exactly what this should look like once it all starts mixing. You want it to form a nice ball of dough. So that's how you'll know how much you need. Next, we want some salt. This is my Redmond's real salt. I really like this salt. On the back, it says this is America's only pink salt, mined in Utah since 1958. Isn't that cool? So I want 1.5 teaspoons of salt, but you can use white iodized table salt. You can use pink Himalayan sea salt, whatever you want. But this is ancient fine sea salt. So 1.5 teaspoons right on in there on top of your flour. And those are all of our ingredients already. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into my mixer. You want to use your dough hook. That's the attachment that you want with whatever kind of stand mixer you're using. So I'm gonna turn this on to speed 1. I'm gonna let this just mix up for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna check on my ball of dough and make sure I don't need to add some more flour, more water. It's really important to check on your ball of dough just a few minutes into kneading. I've given my dough just a couple minutes to mix up, make sure all of the ingredients are incorporated, and this is what my dough looks like. It's definitely too wet. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of flour, let this mix up, and check it again. You want your dough to be able to pull away from the sides of the bowl, and then you know that it's the right consistency and texture. So I'm gonna give this a couple more minutes to mix up, and I'll check it again. Here is my ball of dough. It's looking really good. This is a total of 5 3/4 cups of flour. And if yours looks about like this, then go ahead and turn it up to speed 2 like I just did. And I'm gonna let this knead for about 6 to 8 minutes. I let my dough knead for about 8 minutes in total, and this dough is looking really good. Let's check it out. So look at this nice ball of dough. It's really easy to handle. It's tacky, but it's not too sticky, and it feels really good. I can stretch it. That's a sign that it has good gluten development. So this is exactly what you want your ball of dough to look like after it's kneaded. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this right back into this bowl. You can use a different bowl if you wanna use your KitchenAid for something else. But I'm gonna cover this dough with this warm, wet tea towel, and I'm gonna let it rise on the countertop for about 45 minutes to an hour. It should expand, not necessarily double, but definitely expand and get puffy. And I'll show it to you when it's time to shape it into a loaf. Okay, our Farmhouse white bread dough has been rising for about an hour. Look how good that looks. It's nice and expanded, it's puffy, it looks great. It's time to turn it out onto the dough mat. Now I'm just gonna press out this dough. I'm gonna press it out really well, and I'm gonna try to get it to be about the same length as my bread pan. So you wanna press it out really well, get all those little air bubbles out of it, and then it'll be time to roll it up. Now I'm gonna do the head down, shoulders in method. So you pull the head down, you pull the shoulders in just a little bit, and then you press that out really well with the palms of your hands. And then it's time just to roll it into a nice tight log. You want to kind of roll it and pull it, roll it and pull it. Then you won't get any of those air pockets in your loaf of bread. And then I want to pinch the seams together and the ends. Flip it over. Now that that's looking good, and it looks about the same length of my pan, now I'm gonna go ahead and take this lid off. Isn't that a cool pan? So nice. Now these are non-stick, and they actually recommend not greasing them up at all. So I'm not gonna grease these up, I'm not gonna oil them, butter them, or anything. So I'm just gonna put this here, and I'm gonna lift up this dough and stick it in there. I'm gonna kind of press it out into the corners a little bit. Normally I want to get a really nice domed loaf when I make traditional loaves, but this one you can press out a little bit because it's going to be a nice square anyway. There we go. Now I'm going to put this top almost all the way on. I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to just leave a little bit open so that I can see the dough right here. And I want this to rise up to about 1 inch from the top. and then it'll be time to throw it in the oven. So this will probably take about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, but I'm gonna check in about 30 minutes. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my oven preheated to 350 degrees so that when it's risen to the right mark, then I can just throw it in the oven. So I'll show it to you then. My dough has been rising on the countertop for 30 minutes. Let's take a look at it. That is looking good. It's a little bit more than 1 inch from the top, but I think this is gonna be just fine to go ahead and put into the oven. So I'm gonna put the top all the way on, and I'm gonna throw this in the oven at 350 degrees for 35 minutes. It's been exactly 35 minutes. This loaf baked in the oven at 350 degrees. I haven't even looked at it yet, so it's the moment of truth. Oh my goodness, look how perfect. This turned out exactly how I wanted it to. Look at that. What a beautiful golden color. It rose perfectly well. Not too much, not too little. It went all the way to the top. Now it's time to turn this loaf out of the loaf pan. Now remember, we didn't grease it up or anything because this is a USA pan and it doesn't need it. Look at that. This came right out, no problem. Definitely didn't need to grease it or anything. Nothing stuck in there at all. Nice pan right there. Well, it's nice when you flip over your bread that the top is flat. You don't have to worry about squishing it. Look at that gorgeous loaf of bread. It is perfectly square. Oh, looks really great. I am super pleased with this. I was raised on sunbeam bread. If any of y'all remember that. We got the giant loaves of sunbeam bread. It looked just like this. Now, I melted a little bit of butter in my cast iron melting pot, and I'm just gonna brush this on this loaf. That'll just give us a really nice soft texture to our crust, and it'll give you that buttery flavor and that shine. So I like doing this with all my bread. You can go all the way around it if you want. This is just a fun pan to use because your bread just turns out so differently. I'm just used to traditional homemade loaves of bread that are about a 9x5 size, and this longer one is just super fun. Now that I have that butter brushed on there, I'm gonna just lightly cover this with a tea towel and let that warmth and condensation just give me an even softer, nicer crust. This is how I like to cool my bread. I don't like the cooling racks. I think it gives you a crunchy crust and I don't like that. I like it nice and soft. So I'm gonna let this cool for just a little bit. I like to eat nice warm bread, so I'm not gonna let it cool too long, but then I'll cut into it and we'll check out the inside. All right, my bread has cooled just a bit. It's still warm, but I am ready to cut into this beautiful loaf of bread. This does look exactly like the sunbeam bread that we always had growing up. Oh goodness, that looks really good. That's a nice, fine, thin crust. I think this style of bread is called pain de mie. I may be saying that totally wrong, but it's a fine grained bread, and that is exactly what this looks like. Look how thin the crust is. Look at that. Wow, this really turned out really beautiful. It's gonna be great sandwich bread. It's a perfect square. You can cut it. You can make butterflies out of it. You can put it in the toaster, perfectly fit in there. I love this bread. It's just different. It's just kind of fun to make something different. I'm going to store this loaf of bread in one of my beeswax bread bags that my daughters and I make together right here on our farm. If you're looking for a good alternative to plastic bags, I'll leave the link below along with the printable recipe for this farmhouse white bread made in a Pullman pan. Thanks so much for being here with me on Robin on the Farm. I will see you next time.
Robin's in the kitchen, dough beneath her hands, wheat from the fields and eggs from her land. Sunlight through the window, a warm golden glow. She's working hard to make that dough. With flour on her apron, loving each knead, ground wheat fresh, sowing her seed. The smell of fresh bread rises in the air.